Ichthyolites, or the fossil remains of fishes. The remains of fishes are of far less frequent occurrence in a fossil state than those of many other tribes of animals, nor will this circumstance appear extraordinary, when it is considered that the softness of their structure renders them liable to undergo putrefaction with great rapidity, and that such as die a natural death rise to the surface of the water, and immediately become the prey of a multitude of assailants. A concurrence of circumstances by which the destruction and envelopment of these animals may be instantaneously effected seems therefore necessary to the preservation of their remains in the mineral kingdom. Hence some naturalists have asserted that wherever petrified fishes occur in considerable numbers, it may be inferred that they perished by some sudden catastrophe which destroyed and overwhelmed them in shoals in the very spots where they are now found entombed. The Reverend Graydon, in an interesting memoir on the fossil fish of Monte Bolea, endeavors to account for the phenomena they exhibit by a very ingenious theory that appears to be in perfect accordance with the facts already known on this subject. He supposes that the fishes were destroyed by submarine volcanic eruptions, by which immense masses of calcareous stone were ejected in a calcined state, and which, involving the animals, etc., within its reach, subsequently became consolidated, and now forms the cream-colored matrix of these celebrated fossils. The mineralized remains of fishes occur in various parts of England, but nowhere more abundantly than in the chalk of the South Downs, in the immediate vicinity of Lewes. The specimens are generally imperfect and distorted, and afford but slight indications of the form of the original, but few examples having been found in which the number and situation of the fins, and other parts essential to the determination of the genus or species, are distinctly exhibited. Yet, in many instances, their general characters are sufficiently defined to prove their entire want of correspondence with any known existing species. The teeth and palates are remarkably beautiful, their original substance being heightened by an impregnation with iron, and their natural polish and sharpness remaining uninjured. The vertebrae and other bones are of a reddish-brown color, and very friable. The fins and scales possess a glossy surface, are exceedingly brittle, and both in color and in the mode of their preservation perfectly resemble the ichthyolites of Monte Bolca. Of the cartilaginous fishes, the teeth of several species of squalus or shark are most frequent. The vertebrae are also occasionally met with, but no decided examples of any other part of these animals have hitherto been discovered. 99. Vertebrae of an unknown species of squalus. Tablet 33, Figure 10. The specimen here represented exhibits 2 vertebrae and the section of a third embedded in chalk, and is part of a large mass containing 11 others. The vertebrae are concave both anteriorly and posteriorly, but no traces of the spinous or transverse processes remain. They resemble those of the recent Squalus maximus, and correspond both in size, form, and color with the fossil vertebrae figured in the Oryctography de Bruxelles, Plate 2, BG, and Plate 3, B. The latter are 38 in number, and articulated to each other, forming a column more than 5 feet long. They are thus described by Blainville. Dans le milieu de la pierre à chaux d'une carrière d'Evréran de Molsbroek a été trouvée fossile une série de vertébrés jointes ensemble au nombre de 38 et formant un tout de 5 pieds qui ne diminue dans cette longueur que de 3 lignes ou plus. Il n'y a aucune trace d'apophysie. Monsieur Bertin regarde cet ichthyolite comme provenant d'un serpent de mer, et par là, il est probable qu'il entend parler de congre. Mais il se pourra plutôt qu'il provient d'une grande espèce de squale qu'il est à peu près impossible de spécifier. Locality, Upper Chalk, near Lewis. 100. Teeth of Squalus cornubicus. Tablet 32, Figure 1. The teeth of sharks are so numerously distributed throughout almost every deposit of the secondary formations that there is scarcely an oryctological writer who has not made mention of them. They are the glossopetrae, ornithoglossae, etc. of the earlier authors, and have been described by Woodward, Lude, Knorr, Silla, etc. The present species has sharp entire edges and 2 sharp-pointed lateral processes. The specimens are generally straight, slender, tapering, and sometimes slightly curved. The cartilaginous base is deeply arched and has an obtuse tubercle on the center of the outer surface. The difference observable in their forms is probably owing either to the age of the individual or to the situation the teeth respectively occupied in the jaw of the recent animal, the anterior being longer and more slender than the posterior ones. Localities, Upper Chalk, near Lewis, Brighton, Stenning, etc. 101. Teeth of the Squalus mustellus. Tablet 32, Figures 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, 11. These teeth are triangular, nearly straight, and flat, with entire cutting edges, and furnished with 2 small acuminated lateral processes. The base of the tooth is nearly straight, and the cartilage but slightly arched. The specimens figured are from the Upper and Lower Chalk. In Figure 11, the lateral processes are destroyed. Localities, Lewis, Brighton, Stenning. 102. Teeth of the Squalus zygana. Tablet 32, Figures 4, 7, 8, 10, 26, 28. These are either straight or slightly curved triangular teeth, with entire cutting edges, but destitute of lateral processes. It has been suggested that the latter may have been removed by accident, but this supposition does not appear tenable, since in those examples where the cartilaginous base is perfect, no vestiges of lateral points can be detected. They bear a close analogy to Mr. Parkinson's figure of a fossil tooth of Squalus zygana, but their supposed identity with those of the recent species must be received with some hesitation. Localities, Upper and Lower Chalk, near Lewis and Brighton. 103. Teeth of the Squalus gallius. Tablet 32, figures 12, 14, 15, 16. The width of these fossils frequently exceeds their length. The body is inclined to one side, the edges are finely serrated, and the cartilaginous base nearly straight. The form of this species varies considerably, but the characters enumerated readily distinguish it from those above described. I am unacquainted with the teeth of the recent animal, and have referred these fossils to the Squalus zagena upon the authority of Mr. Parkinson, whose figure represents a specimen from the Kentish chalk that perfectly corresponds with those of Sussex. Localities: Lower Chalk, near Lewes, and Brighton. 104. Teeth of an unknown species of Squalus. Tablet 32, figure 13, Tablet 33, figure 9. These teeth are of a lanceolate form, with serrated edges. They differ very essentially from the preceding, and probably belong to an unknown species of shark. Locality: Upper Chalk, near Lewes. Very rare. 105. Tooth of a fish of the genus Squalus. Tablet 32, figure 22. This elegant little fossil resembles figure 1276 of Lloyd and figure 111 of Brander, and is supposed to be analogous to the teeth of the recent dogfish of Scylla. Mr. Parkinson mentions that a species of Squalus from Messina, described by Spallanzani, and which appears to agree in its characters with the fish figured by Scylla, Tablet 27, has also teeth of a similar structure. It may, however, be questioned if the present specimen belongs to the same kind of animal, or whether it may not be the fin bone of a fish allied to the ballistes. It consists of 6 sharp points or spines, ankylosed at the base and attached to a narrow, bony, or cartilaginous process. The example figured is probably the only fossil of the kind hitherto discovered in the chalk formation. Scylla's specimens were found in the limestone of Malta, which is situated above the chalk, and those of the English authors above referred to were collected from different localities of the London clay. Locality: Upper Chalk, near Lewes. 106. Tooth of something? Tablet 33, figure 7. The fossil here represented is of a very singular character. It is of a lanceolate shape. It is of a lanceolate shape, of a dark brown color inclining to black, and its surface is marked with numerous irregular fissures filled with chalk. This appearance is constantly observable in every specimen. The edges are acute and entire. I am unacquainted with any teeth, either in a fossil or recent state, that possess a similar structure. Locality: Upper Chalk, near Lewes. The remains we are next to examine bear considerable analogy to the corresponding parts of certain species of ballistes, or filefish. To illustrate the subject, we shall therefore insert a brief description of the recent animals. Ballistes. The fishes of this curious genus have the head compressed and close to the body, appearing as if it were a continuation of the trunk. The mouth is narrow. The teeth in each jaw are 8 in number, of which the 2 anterior ones are the longest. There are also 3 interior ones on each side, opposite the intervals between the external row. The aperture of the gills is narrow, destitute of opercula, and placed above the pectoral fins. The branchiostegos membrane has 2 rays. The body is compressed and carinated on each side. The scales are coriaceous, joined together and rough, with sharp, minute prickles. They have 2 dorsal fins, of which the anterior one is armed with a strong spinous ray, concealed in a deep groove in the back, and can be erected or depressed by the animal at pleasure. Some species, as the Bellistes monoceros, unicorn filefish, are furnished with a spine between the eyes. 107. Spine of a species of Bellistes. Tablet 33, figures 5, 6. The specimen delineated in figure 5 is evidently the defense of a fish, and so strikingly resembles the spine fixed between the eyes of certain species of Bellistes that there can be no hesitation in considering it as belonging to a fish of that genus. It is of a dark chocolate color, and possesses a fine polish. Several vertebrae are embedded in the chalk near its base. Figure 6 is nearly allied to the preceding, but in all probability is referable to a different species of the same genus. Locality: Upper Chalk, near Lewis. 108. Dorsal fin or radius of a fish allied to the Bellistes. Tablet 39. This magnificent specimen is one of the most interesting productions of the Upper Chalk. It was unfortunately broken by the quarrymen, and the intermediate portion destroyed. The dotted outline will, however, assist in conveying an idea of its original form. It consists of 13 narrow parallel rays, divided by fine sulci, that gradually diminish in size as they approach the apex, which is broken off. The rays are ancylosed, or united to each other, the grooves or furrows penetrating but a short distance in the substance of the fin. The upper edge is serrated, having 15 obtuse projections, with corresponding depressions. The inferior margin is entire, and near the base of the fin is furnished with numerous slender processes, or cirri, that occupy a space of 3 inches in length and 1.5 inches in breadth. These are probably the remains of the tendinous expansion of the muscles, by which the fin was erected and depressed. The external surface is in a great measure destroyed, but where portions of it remain, exhibits a granulated structure like sealskin. This appearance is distinctly seen near the 2 first teeth, and towards the smaller extremity. The fin is solid, and is composed of a brown, brittle substance, resembling the constituent matter of the vertebrae of cartilaginous fishes found in the chalk. It is 10.5 inches long, 3.5 wide at the base, and about half an inch thick. In Townsend's Character of Moses, a dorsal fin bearing a general resemblance to the present fossil is figured. Plate 18 figures 1, 2, 3. Similar specimens occur also in the blue lias of Dorsetshire. These fins consist of parallel rays and are armed on the upper margin with sharp spines placed in sockets, like the teeth in the proboscis of the Pristis. It must, however, be remarked that in the specimen under consideration, the tooth-like processes are prolongations of the substance of the fin, and not distinct processes, a structure that separates it from any fossils previously discovered. It differs also from the dorsal fins of the Bellistes in its form, in the greater number of rays, and in the latter being ancylosed, while in the recent species the rays are but few and placed at some distance from each other, being united by a membrane. It is therefore obvious that the fossil in question belonged to a fish, of which the recent prototype is either extinct or unknown. Locality: Upper Chalk, near Lewis. 109. Dorsal fin of a fish allied to the genus Blistes. Tablet 40, Figure 3. This fin is less perfect than the preceding and differs from it in the tooth-like projections being larger and more distant, those of number 107 being twice as numerous. There can, however, be no doubt that it belonged to a different species of the same genus. Locality: Upper Chalk, near Lewis. 110. Part of a dorsal fin. Tablet 34, Figure 8. This fragment consists of 5 parallel rays. It differs from those above mentioned in its surface being marked with oblique, finely serrated sutures. The interior is hollow and filled with chalk. Locality: Upper Chalk, near Lewis. 2 other dorsal fins, apparently belonging to different species of the same tribe of fishes, have very recently been discovered. One of them is from the grey marl. It is composed of 12 or 13 rays, the upper ones being distinct and the lower ones ankylosed. It is 10 inches long and 1.5 inch wide at the base. Both margins are entire, but it is probable that the uppermost ray may be wanting. The other fin is imperfect. The rays are very slender, nearly cylindrical, and quite distinct from each other. 111. Teeth of fishes allied to the genus Diodon. Tablet 32, Figures 18, 19, 20, 23, 24, 25, 29. These teeth are more or less of a quadrangular shape, having the outer surface convex and composed of an exceedingly hard enamel, which in the center is formed into sharp and slightly curved ridges. These are surrounded by a border of obtuse papillae. The specimens before us exactly resemble the teeth of the Diodon hystrix, which has one tooth of this kind affixed to the os hyoides, and another to the palate or roof of the mouth. But the fossil teeth are sometimes found in considerable numbers and of various sizes, forming a tessellated surface of several square inches, and so regularly disposed, the smaller palates being adapted to the intervals between the larger ones, that no doubt can exist of this having been the mode in which they were placed in the original. Hence, instead of each specimen being a distinct palate, like the corresponding teeth of the Diodon, they appear to have constituted the covering of the entire roof and base of the mouth. The specimens figured are of various forms, but do not appear to be specifically distinct. Tablet 32, Figure 29, differs from the preceding in having a greater degree of convexity in its ridges being transverse, more numerous and delicate, and the depressions less deep. It is perhaps referable to a different species. The conical teeth, Tablet 32, Figures 17, 21, 27. Although not exactly corresponding with either of those above described, may yet, in all probability, be regarded as belonging to a fish of the same genus. Localities: Upper and Lower Chalk, in every quarry on the South Downs. Apodes. The fishes of this order approach very nearly to the amphibia nantes of Linné, and some of them resemble the serpent tribe. They are long and slender, having a smooth skin, which is generally naked or covered with small, soft scales. 2 species of fishes allied to the genus Murena are the only animals of this order that occur in a fossil state in Sussex. 112. Murena lewisensis. Tablet 39, Figure 11. Tablet 40, Figure 2. A long cylindrical fish, of which neither the fins nor extremities have been discovered, is one of the most frequent but most imperfect of the Sussex ichthyolites. The specimens are of a subcylindrical form, rather flattened by compression, from 6 inches to 2 feet in length and about 1 inch wide. They occur abundantly in the upper chalk and occasionally in the siliceous nodules. They are, for the most part, perfectly straight, but some specimens are undulated, as if the fish had been suddenly enveloped in the chalk while in a state of motion. The surface is covered with small, delicate, smooth scales, confusedly mixed together. Not one instance having been noticed in which they are disposed with any degree of regularity. Tablet 40, Figure 2, represents the usual appearance of these fossils, and Tablet 39, Figure 11, the only example that retains the slightest indication of a fin. In another solitary specimen, one extremity terminates in an obtuse projection, like an obscure outline of the head. It is, however, too imperfect to warrant any speculation on the form of the original. Until more illustrative specimens shall be discovered, our conjectures concerning the recent animal must be vague and unsatisfactory. That the remains in question are referable to a fish of the order Apodes cannot, however, be questioned, and they certainly appear to be more intimately related to the genus Murena than to any other with which we are acquainted. In the quarries at Offham, the remains of a narrow, compressed, cylindrical body, evidently related to the preceding, are occasionally met with. They are more or less contorted, possess a glossy surface, and are of a light greenish color. The imperfect state of the specimens prevents a more particular notice. Localities: Upper and Lower Chalk, near Lewes and Brighton. Thoracece. In the fishes of this order, the ventral fins are placed on the trunk, or nearly under the pectoral fins. It is with some hesitation that I refer to this division a thin, compressed fish, whose remains are frequently met with in the upper chalk near Lewes. This ichthyolite is related to the genera Stromateus, Chetodon, and Zeus, but in its general form more closely resembles the recent individuals of the latter. The fishes of the genus Zeus have the head compressed and sloping, the upper lip arched, the tongue subulated, the body compressed, thin and shining, and the rays of the first dorsal fin ending in filaments. In every essential particular of this description, the fossils alluded to will be found to correspond. (113) Zeus lewisiensis. Tablet 35, Figures 1, 2. Tablet 36. This species is from 6 to 8 inches long, and its width is nearly equal to the length of the body, exclusive of the head. It is covered with large, ovate, striated scales. The back and abdomen are ridged and gently arched, and the body is thin and compressed. The head is somewhat obtuse and large in proportion to the body. The orbits project and are placed high in the head. the lower jaw is straight, the upper one slightly arched, and both are destitute of teeth. The opercula branchialia are large, and there are 6 branchiostegous rays. The dorsal and anal fins are placed opposite to each other and extend over 2/3 of the posterior part of the body, but do not unite with the tail. The rays of the dorsal fin appear to pass into long filaments, as in the recent dory. The pectoral fins have not been observed. The caudal fin, or tail, is rounded and composed of numerous strong rays. The vertebrae are about 20 in number, and in most instances the ribs still remain attached. The above description is taken from upwards of 20 specimens, not one of which is sufficiently entire to indicate the structure of the original, without the assistance of other examples. Those figured are the most perfect in my possession, and will serve to illustrate the general appearance of this species. It seemed unnecessary to delineate detached parts. Tablet 35, Figure 1. A portion of the body exposing several vertebrae, with the ribs attached. Tablet 35, Figure 2, and Tablet 36 are corresponding parts of the same specimen. In Figure 2, the drawing is inverted, the fish being represented with the abdomen uppermost. It exhibits the anal fin, the termination of the lower jaw, and numerous remains of the bones of the head. In Tablet 36, the same parts are more distinctly shown, and also the elongated rays of the dorsal fin, with part of the tail, etc. Localities: Upper Chalk, near Lewis and Brighton.